subscribe to it, and you will come to you, and you will see
Everybody
it.
who was sent to the earth
Your own
is
life.
a son of God or a daughter of God.
Okay, so with Son of God, do you believe Son of God means someone sent by God?
Yeah. And
Yes, this is one. Yeah, do subscribe.
here is a son or daughter.
For me?
Another one, which you see.
Okay. So you believe he sent for everybody, yeah?
Some, I think. Some,
Yeah.
some
No, I
TV,
think
most maybe.
it had
Yeah,
a purpose
some that was, well,
that he was sent in that time
There's
to
so many
and
channels
in that
here.
place of the earth. You know, and I
SV
think that
Dawa as well.
in all,
They all have
different
those.
areas,
But if you follow Zishan, his name, yeah, Zishan, his channel,
right again,
you will,
somebody will be sent
you will
to
have,
convert
yeah, this one's
people
some Dawa
again
as
to
well.
their true
They all the channels, those that will come up.
to their true sending. To
And
this
ponder about it.
So we also believe as Muslims that God is only one. Yeah, we don't believe
Yeah,
that.
and I
I live
believe
my
that
life. Do you
the
understand?
God
At least
in
you,
Buddhism
you,
and in
you
all
don't have any
religions is
other
always the
excuses
same
later.
God.
Do you understand me?
And people,
Especially when people don't speak
you know, it's like
multilingual, yeah?
they start
They pass
fighting
a lot of
about,
different-
and you know,
on
it's
a
like
fact.
Everything is Jesus,
you
guys.
grow up in a family, and your wife grows up in a family. Then you move together, and then when you move together, you find out your wife is doing things differently than you were taught in your family to do those things. And then you start fighting. Why? Because both are fighting to protect their families and how they grew up. And
Today was
it's a
very
little bit
hard.
stupid.
Yeah, no. So
No,
what?
I mean, not stupid in that case, but it's for nothing.
I get what you're
stupid.
saying.
This is just called me stupid.
Yeah, but that's what I
No
thought.
discount for that you can
No,
do.
no, this is what I thought before, and I knew before.
I know.
And when you go, like you said, when you go back to when you are a little child, you have everything in you. You know about right, and you know what is not right. And when you can act like this for the rest of your life, then I think then we will have freedom.
If you take this
But it's not the purpose what we came here for. So everybody, every soul was sent to this. Oh, no, you. Every soul was sent on this earth to learn something they haven't learned before. And so you come here many times. And
What have you heard about Islam?
Not much.
I heard a lot about Islam.
Tell me, I can take it. Good or bad, no problem.
No, I think the original Islam is good, and it was, I mean, what Mohammed told or learned the people was all that made sense. Like you should not eat pork because in the desert, you know that meat from the pork gets bad very fast. So it's I mean it all had a purpose, and I think people should use their common sense to understand what is written in the Quran. Yeah, and what is written in all other religious books, and you have to translate it into your life. But you know, not when you transform it into your life, you have to be enlightened that you use what is originally meant by what is written there, and that I think there is where the the errors occurred.
So, you've made some very good points. And as Muslims, we believe in one God, whilst you'll have other religions believing that man can become God or things like trees can be God. Islam is the only main religion that claims to be monotheistic. Monotheistic meaning one God with no partners, no son, no daughter, no grandpa, grandma, nothing. Only one God worthy of worship. That's it. We believe the Quran is a book sent by God, the last of the books that did not get changed. All the other books, you will notice,
I know.
they have been changed. The Quran.
And I also know that parts of one old original Bible had been found just, I think, in the last century.
Yeah.
And only when they inverted a technique which allows you that you can read burned papers. They had parts of this original Bible, but it never was included. After that, it was kept away for scientific researches, and I don't know if it ever found the way to Rome, to the Christian. I don't know.
To the Vatican.
Leaders,
Yeah.
Because I know that it never was included in the Bible, and I know myself that some parts were not correctly translated, and some words were interpreted differently.
Yes.
Also because the same word
Just to serve
the power
elite,
of the church,
So
and
when-
not
For the everyday person,
for the real meaning of what was written in the Bible.
But Islam is different from this in the sense that regardless of what type of Muslim you meet, all of them will say there is one God. Muhammad is the last prophet, peace be upon him. Jesus was a prophet. Moses was a prophet. There have been many prophets that have come before. The Quran is memorized from cover to cover that people can't change it to such a degree that if I was to recite something and add something in there, he will be able to correct me. Somebody else that comes will be able to correct me. If all the books are burnt, Quran is the only one that can be written word for word.
Yes.
Even in terms of
I know.
practicality, for example, out of the religions, Islam is the only one that has a clear-cut verse against racism, where in the last speech of the Prophet, he said there is no superiority of a black person over a white person over a black person. In Islam, even when it comes to respect of parents, we have an inheritance law that you have to give inheritance even to your parents as well. You don't neglect your parents. We are told that respect of parents, respect of neighbors. And you might think, people say this, but in Islam, the sayings of the Prophet, they are preserved. For example, I can tell you exactly what the Prophet said. I can translate it for you. I can tell you who I heard it from, who they heard it from, who they heard it from. I can tell you the full chain. In terms of preserving, in terms of accuracy and precision, Islam is head and shoulders above the rest. You notice the other religions, in terms of their prayer. Muslims, we have prayer to God every single day. The same way that the previous prophets prayed. For example, in the Bible it says Jesus put his head on the ground. We also, Muslims, put our head onto the ground as well. So there's a sense of humility. There's a sense of humbleness. Even when you see Muslims praying together, they are standing together shoulder to shoulder regardless of class, regardless of race. Yeah, you could be a black person, a white person, an Asian person, you could be a plumber, you could be, a leader, you could be a teacher, you could be, a builder. Everyone standing shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, and that actually would also stand or was written in the Bible. It says that everybody is equally, and people don't behave like this. Even the church doesn't behave like that. When you look into the church, there is a section where, for for the Queen, for instance, or for the aristocratic people. They were seated somewhere else than the normal people.
Yeah.
So,
So you're saying they've distorted the Bible. Let me ask you a question. If today you were being honest with yourself, what would you need to understand about Islam for you to accept it? Like, what is the criteria?
I will read the book.
In terms of questions, like, what have you understood and said, this is what I need to get from Islam for me to accept it?
To tick the boxes, basically. Muslims believe in one God. You do. Tick the box.
What I would need to know is that that all those radicals that the Quran would that it would be written in there that those radicals are not right.
That's number one. What's number two?
That woman is equal to man.
Okay, what's number three? Okay.
You know, because I didn't come here to
Debate.
hear about religion, and so it just happened like that.
This makes it
So
better.
I didn't have anything in mind.
But this is
Better than
I was
politics.
not prepared.
But you don't need to be prepared, because there are certain things in our head that we know. When we prepare, it means we are adding to the discussion extra things that don't necessarily deal with the questions at hand. And the questions at hand are the two that you've mentioned now. They are the ones that are the most important to you. The others, we can talk about them later when you think about them. So number one, when you talk about radicals, bear in mind, we have something called free will. Yeah?
Yes.
Free will is God giving us a choice about how we live our life. We can choose to follow Him, we can choose not to follow Him. He gives us a book, we can choose to obey the full book, half the book, this book, that book. But when the Quran says something very simple, the one verse that you're looking for, means killing one person unjustly, it's as if you have killed an entire generation. Yeah? Killing one person for no reason, it's like killing an entire generation. Now this is why you will not see Muslims generally, if there are people killing innocent people, you will not see Muslims agreeing with that. I will give you one example. One example is, for example, is what Israel is doing. Yeah. So Israel, one verse that they use from the Torah is Amalekites. Yeah, and they give the example of the Amalekite, and the verse of the Amalekite is you are allowed to kill children and infants as well. Yeah. So what my question is, there is no such a verse like this in the entire Quran or the tradition of Islam that you can kill a child. Yeah, that you can kill an infant. Because in that, I can give you the reference. In that reference, the first book of Samuel, yeah, chapter 15, verse 2. I think that's what it is. It talks about the Amalekites. In Islam, and in that verse rather, it says you kill the cows, you kill the donkey, you kill the ox, you kill the children, the infants, the men, the women. My question is, this is not just, this is not nice. Yeah, why is this there? And why is somebody, a leader of a country, mentioning that today? And today, if you look in Israel, 50% of the people that have been killed by Israel in Gaza, the children, the women. But when you look, for example, in Islamic book, they will never say, in fact, I can give you a saying of the Prophet. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, don't kill women, don't kill children. We get that from Imam Malik. Imam Malik gets that from Nafi. Nafi gets that from Abdullah bin Umar. Abdullah bin Umar heard that from the Prophet. So, I can tell you a saying of the Prophet. I can tell you how relevant it is. I can tell you every single person that heard it in the chain. This is how we preserve the sayings of the Prophet, by memorizing the chains. We Muslims will memorize Quran, the sayings. I can even tell you the 20 ancestors of the Prophet. Why? Because for us it's a form of pride. This is the Prophet, this is his father.
and then my second question.
Yeah. So your second thing is, with your second thing is, we think for a woman to be equal to a man is disrespectful to a woman.
But I mean.
No, listen.
Okay.
It's disrespectful to women. Because a woman should not need her respect to be measured by that of a man. In certain things, a woman in Islam, they're higher than a man. In other things, the man is higher than the woman. So in Islam, we believe both man and woman are not competitive. They're not competition. They are complementary. They're like a puzzle. For example, a man, we don't believe a man becomes pregnant. Yeah, woman is the one who has been given this honor of holding the baby for 9 months. Then she feeds breastfeeding the baby. I can't breastfeed my child. Very difficult. Yeah, in fact, impossible. I can't do this. So my wife would be higher in honor when it comes to feeding the child. She is keeping our child alive by giving milk, by holding and carrying the child. If she says, I want this, I will go to the shop. I will not say, you and me, we are equal.
Yeah.
I will say, no,
But
you are better than me.
I meant it, in that way that why are women not allowed to go to school like in Afghanistan?
Yeah. So
This is, and why do they have to hide? And why do they have to wear this burqa and you don't see,
yeah. Yeah.
This is something I don't understand.
Yes. And that's fine.
And that's what I wanted to know. Is this written in the Quran? Because those Taliban regime, they behave like they act according to the Quran.
Yes. The thing is that one thing is to understand there's a difference between the country and the religion. For example, America claims to be a Christian country, but many Christians say it doesn't follow Christian values. The UK claims to be a Protestant Christian country, doesn't follow the values. Yeah. So similarly, or like in a similar vein of thought, if we take the Prophet, what did the Prophet say? The Prophet said something very simple. He said it is obligatory, not maybe you should. He said it is compulsory for man and woman to seek knowledge. Yeah, obligatory. Yeah, to seek religious knowledge. So this is a clear statement of the Prophet. Now, why is a country not following that? I am not an expert.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about religious knowledge. I'm also talking about,
Secular knowledge.
yes.
But the separation of religion and secularism only happened recently. Before, be it Christianity or Islam, there was no separation of church and state. So seeking religious knowledge would be seeking worldly knowledge. That's why if I tell you some of the biggest inventions, they were created by Muslims.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then those, in the year 1100, when
The golden era of Islam, yes.
The Templars, they took all the knowledge. I mean, they had good friendship with Islam.
The Greeks.
Yeah, and
Yes.
with Islam. And they learned about how to read the stars and guide ships.
Yes.
And all that knowledge they took back to Europe.
Yes.
And this is why then suddenly Portuguese was a big shipping. They knew how to guide
Yes.
ships, and they went, to America, and they suddenly were a big
Yes.
sailor.
Yes, they were sailors, yeah. So in Islam,
Because they had this knowledge from which was brought.
exactly. So you've proven my point that in Islam, if seeking worldly knowledge was bad, then Muslims would not, have created all of these things, and they would not be as successful even if, you know, Adam Smith, who's the father of capitalism. Adam Smith, he's the father of capitalism. Western society, they respect him in one of our currencies in the UK. His picture was at the back. Adam Smith said after the fall of the Roman Empire, it was the Muslims that encouraged scientific research, astronomical research, and the likes. And that's why even the camera, you have people like Ibn al-Haytham, who created the pinhole camera. Algebra was created by Al-Khwarizmi, because of whom we have algorithms. The old map was created by Al-Idrisi. So a lot of these things. And bearing this in mind also, that one of the Prophet's wives, Aisha, was a very famous and popular scholar. She used to teach the sayings of the Prophet. Many men would come and learn from her. In fact, there is a book written by Akram Nadwi with regards to muhaddithat in Islam, meaning women that have memorized hadith and conveyed hadith in Islam, which numerate in the hundreds if not thousands. So women learning and studying is not something